My brand is I'm the Julia Child of Kids Hands-On Science. My whole purpose in what I write for kids is to have them experience what it is like to make discoveries. And because science is based on a lot of empirical evidence, when you write about science, you are your own primary source. So all of the experiments that I write about in my books I have done, but mainly we write for the library and trade market, which means the books we write we're not writing to any formulas from on high to meet curriculum needs. We write about what interests us in a way that we hope will interest kids. I like to say that we don't have a captive audience, so we must write to captivate. So there's a difference in the mindset that we have when we write. And one of the questions that I asked about starting Inc. is what can we do as a group that we can't do individually? And the Nonfiction Minute, turning out this high quality content every single day, which is edited, which makes it different from a blog and different from texting. What possibilities does that create for teachers?
And I'm trying to get children to see the connection between math and their lives, and to see that it can be fun, to see that it's something that isn't just drudgery, something that is meaningful. It all started for me with this book. You might be familiar with it. It's called How Much is a Million? Because in the Nonfiction Minute, we each take one topic and explore it briefly. We try to make it fun, interesting, riveting, but brief.
What I'm really excited about in terms of writing science for kids is making it very visual and bringing art into my work. So you may have seen my bug shots book, my mosquito bite book. And so this is a way of getting kids to look really closely at the world and seeing things that they normally wouldn't see. And that's really what art is all about.
So my first book is Orphan Train Writer, One Boy's True Story. This came out in 1996, and it's still out there going strong. I write history, and there are a number of us, several of us on the Nonfiction Minute who do write history. What's unique about what I do is that there's always a child at the center of my story, a child or children. So what I've done is, and I think this is what good history writers do, applied a lot of the techniques that come to us through literature to writing history.
I have no books to show you. I am not an author. I am an editor. My background is that I worked for a number of children's book publishers over the years, Franklin Watts, and I was the founder of both Millbrook Press and Roaring Brook Press. And I was very, very happily retired from all of those jobs when Vicki found me and with her great enthusiasm described the Nonfiction Minute, and I just couldn't resist. The people in Ink Think Tank are all real pros, and so it really is a joy to work. The challenge is really organizing the whole thing and figuring out how to put all the pieces together to do a daily posting.
How open are you to teachers asking you for specific things or making suggestions about topics that they may like to see Nonfiction Minutes on in the future?
We would absolutely love it. What topics? We range all over the place. I mean, there's technology and art and music and math and activities and history and literature. And I think that anything that would really interest and excite a kid, we would love to hear about.
Can they write 400 words about it?
I love that idea of letting the Nonfiction Minute be a model for student writing.
There's information in an image, and so normally what I do is I do a workshop before they actually go out and take their own pictures, where they learn to look closely at images. So space images, other primary source imagery, and look for information in the image, and then learn how to write a caption to go along with that.
when I read what they have submitted, I have to feel that somebody could read this and retain enough of the central idea and what the piece was about that they could go out and tell their friends on the playground. In other words, it has to be able to stick in their mind, which knocks out too many names and dates and places, because they're not going to remember that. We need to leave an impression. And so those are very, very simple rules. By the time you get to 7th grade, you are very much individualized, and there really isn't probably the one perfect 7th grader. And yet that's what the textbooks and a lot of some of the trade books are actually aiming at. So we are essentially buckshotting topics at these kids in the hope that we will really hit several of them in any given classroom situation and really inspire them to want to know more, to do research.
I'm just wondering what teachers would like to see in terms of being able to search for topics and to save time, because I know, time is of the essence when you're teaching.
Oh, I'm going to jump in on that one, Alex. And I'm actually going to invite anybody in here, if you've got a good idea about how to do it, to share it with us. Because as a librarian, access is what I'm all about. And when you guys started the Nonfiction Minute, what I did was set up a searchable table of contents that's linked. Every day I take your pieces and I put them in printable format, and I create a document and I attach keywords to it. And then I also give them a link to the internet site.
They call it test prep. That's what it is.
The length of the Nonfiction Minute is very similar to the length of those passages that they buy permissions for to stick into the test.
You know where they get those questions? See this? This is a file of permissions I've sold to Pearson and the other testing companies.
Do we at the Nonfiction Minute need to somehow get questions to go along with those little blurbs?
Or are you suggesting write them?
Well, I'm thinking maybe
What about
teachers.
the kids? I think the kids
Or the
could read them. I think we could get the kids to read them, talk about the great experiment. If we get some kids to read them, pick topics that they're interested in, and submit questions that they have generated based on the Nonfiction Minute for maybe another piece or a
That's
follow-up.
a brilliant idea.
We so appreciate what you're doing, and we look forward to this experiment continuing.